Good morning. We are live. Welcome to more random ramblings. Because if I call it Ancient of Days, some idiot claims copyright. You can't copyright a title, dummy. Coming to you live from foggy downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's, boy is it foggy, Inland Empire. I'm told that up on the rim, it's really foggy. I can actually see my fence and a piece of the road, but not the house across the street. Well, Verizon has recalled the Ellipsis Jetpack, which provides my internet, but not today. I'm using my phone instead. Um, it's upside down. It's a fire hazard. They did not notify me of the recall. I stumbled across it when I was searching tech websites to find out why the battery blew up. It popped the case open and popped out of the jetpack, and it won't go back in because it's too big now. It doesn't appear to be leaking, but I can't use it. However, I did discover that the jetpack will work without a battery as long as it's on the charger. So I call up Verizon because I went through their website and found out yes, this particular device that I own and it's paid for, it is recalled. But the deal is they send you a box, you mail in your jetpack, and wait for them to send you the replacement. Meanwhile, that's a minimum of 2 days and up to a week that I have no internet because I sent them my modem. They call it a jetpack, it's a miniature modem. So, by running it without a battery, I've discovered that it's the device that gets hot, not just the battery. I have to really keep an eye on it. It gets very hot. Um, so, like, I send them my jetpack, and then when they receive it, then they'll send me the replacement. I'm tempted to just keep it and use it. I bought a new battery on Amazon, and my jetpack is paid for. What they did, though, was update the software so it will not charge the battery while you're actually using the modem. You have to turn it off to charge the battery. Ah, tea. I'm having coffee, Oswald. Well, heck, already had tea. So, this is not acceptable. And I called them and told them so. And then I went to the FCC website, Federal Communications Commission, and filed a complaint about it. They don't need to get this one back before they send me the replacement. That's outrageous. And I'm still upset about it. Ah, oh well. Such is life. It isn't a little thing to have no internet. Yeah, I do have a hotspot on my phone, but I'm likely to run out. I use it up in 2 or 3 days, and I'm using it now, so I could be without internet for anywhere between 2 days and 1 week. Also, they use United Parcel, and I'm hoping that United Parcel will send their truck to pick up the package because there's no United Parcel office anywhere near my home. There's a hi Wax Web. Hi Froggy. Oh, come on. The cursor wasn't in the box. I typed all that for nothing. The fog isn't bothering me too much. Oh, it must be lifting. I caught a glimpse of the house across the street. I can see the roof anyway. Ah, yeah, Webb is a computer graphics artist, and he does hands-on art and sculpture and stuff like that. I dabble. I love oil painting, but like I'm no Rembrandt, certainly not Picasso. I like to make a realistic drawing and then use colors that are very bright and not natural, or do like the Impressionists and have everything fuzzy. Let's see. But, they aren't great art. Anyway, um, someday I'll put the strings on my guitar. I had all the strings, the little pegs that hold the strings, and other stuff that I need to string this yard sale guitar. But when I was out with a broken hip, the helpful people scattered everything to the four winds, so I can't find things. I had to just go ahead and fat thumbs. I had to go ahead and buy Gorilla Glue. Never did find the glue I already owned, and they threw out the box it was in. I had a box with all the things for fixing the guitar, plus my Pepto Bismol, the pink stuff, and the crystals to a crystal rose that fell apart, which I was also going to glue back together. But the glue and several of the crystals are gone. I had a big bag of beads, little love bead type beads, gone. I found the little bag. See, I don't trust because of it's a yard sale guitar with a jerry rigged bridge. I don't trust the pegs to hold the strings. So I glue a little bead onto the end of the string and tie a knot and then glue the knot before I put the string into the guitar. Well, that kind of means I gotta have my glue and my beads, doesn't it? This all happened last August and September, and I'm still finding things that are out of place and failing to find things that I use all the time. So I have to go buy another one. I had to buy nail clippers and a nail file and all kinds of stuff. I found my candles, matches, and flashlight batteries after I spent a whole day in the dark because the power went off for scheduled maintenance by our good friends at Edison. Well, thank you, Jen. I thought it was clever. Well, I bought more Gorilla Glue and I found a few of my beads, so maybe I can string my guitar now, but I've spent so much time searching the house for things that I haven't had time to do the things I had planned to do or to check out the things in my storage shed and see if maybe some of the things that are missing might be out there. I had for in terms of food, I had all kinds of syrups and powders and spices and herbs and all kinds of stuff gone. My bottle of wine disappeared. That might turn up. Burglars don't usually come into your house looking for a half empty bottle of wine, although a burglar might think it's half full. Oh, you saw my garden, Jan? Cool. Now, remember, all that green grass was not a lawn. It's actually a weed called foxtails. It puts up a seed head that looks like wheat, but it's stickers that'll get into animals' fur or your feet and legs and socks and other clothing. And it's a bear to get it out. I lost a cat once because he kept getting foxtails stuck in the roof of his mouth. And of course, it had a cut that wouldn't heal because he kept getting foxtails in it. And mom would not take my cat to the vet. She would spend hundreds of dollars when our house payment was 125 a month. Hundreds of dollars to keep the dog alive, not a penny for my kitty cat. And she didn't even have the decency to have the vet put him to sleep. She made me take him to the pound, the so-called animal shelter. You see, the dog, King, was getting old, and he had been my oldest brother's dog, so it was a matter of apron strings with the dog. Mom thought, as long as she held on to the dog, her son would have to visit once in a while. Well, Rick didn't care about the dog. He was sort of a family dog anyway. She just said it was Rick's. King was a great dog, some kind of terrier mix with a little collie, probably Sheltie mix. He was mostly white with a black spot, a black and white head. He was really smart, really clever dog, and nice. I don't remember him ever biting, even when I was very little and messing with his ears and his eyes. He'd just shake his head to let me know don't do that. The cats, on the other hand, the cats would come to be petted, but Putty in particular was insane. She'd demand to be petted, but at a certain point she'd be tired of it and rake my hand with her claws instead of just letting me know that's enough, lady, or that's enough, kid. Oh, sweetie. Oh, sweetie sitting by me. Um, There's a certain phrase I can't say because it means the cats are getting treats. It's Goodgirl. I'll type it. You see, they're very low on treats, so and I can't buy more till tomorrow. So, oh yeah, Kingwood herd the tortoises. Yeah, I remember that. Part pointer, huh? I didn't know that. He was just the greatest dog. I'll tell you how smart he was. I would be down the street inside a friend's house. Mom would tell King, "Go get Tess." And he would go straight to the door of the house where I was. Now, it's partly his nose, but it's also understanding what Mom wanted. Amazing. Great dog. Oh, let's see. My fingers are not that good at typing. There, it's somewhat chilly today. I think it's in the 40s, but that isn't too bad when I'm up and about. But sitting here, I don't walk around. Yeah, it's 45. Might be a, yeah, that's an hour ago, so it's probably around 48 now. But I'm good. The heater's on, but I could turn it off. Anyway, when I want the cats to come in from outside so I can shut the house for the night, I use that phrase and then paw out the treats. Mm, oh, God, I got itchies. Sweetie, why won't you let me pick you up and show you to your adoring fans? Today, I walked past Sweetie, my feral cat, and she didn't move. She turned her head to watch me, but she didn't get up and walk away. It's been a while since she ran away from me. Now she just walks away, but this time when I walked past her, she just kept an eye on me and didn't move. It's only been almost 12 years. I think 12 years this month, yeah. And she's beginning to understand that I'm not a cat murderer. Sweetie's about 12. She was born in my house, but it was vacant at the time. I had put my granddaughter's cat here because she couldn't keep her, and Lamb Chop couldn't join the tribe at my other house, the one I lost in foreclosure, because I couldn't sell it before they foreclosed. And by the way, because of the way the laws were back then, I never saw a penny when they sold it. Anyway, uh, she I never let her out, but she was already with Kitten, and she popped out a few kittens, and Sweetie is one of them. And people don't want black cats. She's a black tuxedo. So I kept her. Well, I kept all three of them. The other two, the Bobs, I couldn't tell them apart, so I called them both Bob. They were bobcat hybrids. Amazing cats, huge, and they almost looked like bobcats, but they were sweeties and very timid. They, one disappeared, and I suspect that a certain neighbor probably took him in and kept him. The other one got killed by a rattlesnake. And I don't have rattlesnakes in my yard. I've checked. I check all the time, not just once a year, but all the time. Yes, Africanus. I remember Seymour, the huge, beautiful black tuxedo kitty that you had in the trailer. One of Penny's kitties, I think, or maybe not. No, because he'd been taken away from his mother too soon, and he was always trying to nurse. Oh, Midget was great too. Yeah. Well, anyway, the Bobs were fantastic kitties. They lived to be about 8 years old before one disappeared and the other got killed by a rattlesnake. Oh, Tev has gone to kitty heaven. Well, Africanus has black cats because nobody wanted to adopt a black cat. When they took in a stray and she blessed them with grandkitties, and they were all but one were black. Midget, yeah, got named Midget for being a runt and then grew to be huge. Aw, we all miss our fur babies, don't we? Well, I had one cat, long haired, fluffy, orange male, beautiful. He chose to move out and go live with a neighbor. I brought him home several times. He kept going back, so I gave up. They had a cat of their own and they fed them Fancy Feast, and I fed Friskies. I once had two black litter mates, both female, of course. Cost me a fortune to get them spayed. Blackie and Inky, because when they came along, I just couldn't think of any original names. Tora came with her name. See, I got her in 2019, so sometime this fall, I think in October, she'll be 2 years old. I really miss the black and inkies. I could tell them apart. And sometimes I got it wrong if I saw only one of them and not the two together. But I usually knew which was which, but other people couldn't. Thing is, Blackie was a lap cat. She'd sit on my lap and help me eat my dinner, especially if I had steak. The other cats looked on like, "You're crazy, Blackie. What are you doing? That's a human with human food." But Inky was the greeter. Whenever someone came over, she'd run out and greet them and demand to be petted. And she even did that at yard sales. By the way, the lioness is now lions, no more lioness. So now I'm a lion. I don't think it'll make much difference. We'll still do yard sales, sell C's candies, go out with the White Cane Days fundraiser where we don't, well, we have little toy white canes, but we're basically begging for donations. No, the Lions Club is international, and the international organization voted to close up Lioness, it wasn't so much a club as a committee. So each Lions Club was, they didn't all do it, but every one of them had the opportunity to sponsor a Lioness committee. And it began when the wives of lions, who were not originally not allowed to join lions, got tired of just making dinner for the men and insisted on becoming a club. So they became a committee. Um, but recently there's been a lot of fuss from some foreign countries. They don't allow women to join still, and they don't like the lioness. They don't understand. Plus, membership worldwide has been going down in the lions, and so they want to force lioness to become lions. Well, my lioness club accepted that offer, and we're lions now. We'll be chartered and inducted on May 8th. But some of the lioness clubs just folded. Others joined their local lions clubs that already exist. But the Crestline Lions folded about 10 years ago because they lost so many members who moved or died or became too ill, and they were all old. But some of the lioness were lions. They joined both clubs, or they just joined lions. So they're coming back. Well, some of them were already back as lioness. It's interesting. I was going to talk about the prodigal son. Yes, the Egyptians worshipped cats as gods, and the cats have never forgotten it. I was going to talk about the prodigal son, the parable that Jesus told. The story is a wealthy man had two sons, and this is strange because in their culture, only the eldest son would inherit, but I guess it did change over time. The eldest son would get the land and so forth, but younger sons would get some money or a horse or something, or probably a donkey. Anyway, or maybe a small plot of land. In the parable, this wealthy man had two sons, and asked his father for his inheritance. He wanted to take it right away, and his father said okay and gave him his inheritance. And that son became a prodigal. He left his father's home and squandered all the money, had to work for a living, finally ended up sleeping in the mud with the pigs because, well, that was the best he could do. So finally, dressed in rags and covered in mud, he came crawling back to Daddy and said, "Please take me in. Let me be a servant in your house." And the father rejoiced, welcomed him, slayed the fatted calf, had a big old feast. because he was so happy that his prodigal son had come home. Meanwhile, the son who had not left, who had stayed on and worked in his father's house or on his farm or whatever, it was really ticked off. He says, "You never slayed the fatted calf for me." And the father says, "My son who was lost has come back. I'm overjoyed." And um, interpretations of this parable tend to focus on the older son saying, "Oh, well, he just stayed because he wanted to get his inheritance when his father died. His heart wasn't really in it. He was mendacious, he was greedy, he wanted the big one." Well, maybe. Or maybe he was just ticked off at his younger brother for shirking and leaving all the work for him to do. But I saw something while listening to mostly N.T. Wright, Bishop Tom Wright, talking about various things. And it suddenly occurred to me that this is about the Gentiles returning to the family and the Jews who'd been faithful all along being ticked off about it. See, in Deuteronomy 32, God divides the nation, He divorces all of them. So they all become Gentiles, pagans, worshiping foreign gods and all that. But then He calls Abraham. And what is the blessing He gives to Abraham? Besides a great big family and lots of descendants. The promise is, through you, all the nations will be blessed. And this is before Abraham was even circumcised. He was still Avram. God hadn't changed his name yet. The covenant was then sealed. The deal was Abraham had to take a cow and a chicken and or a dove and some other animals and cut them in half, lay half the pieces on one side, half the pieces on the other, and walk through the middle. And the point of that was, besides being gross and disgusting, if I break the covenant, this should be done to me. So they didn't have a lot of broken contracts in those days. Now, God, or ordinarily, when you swear an oath, you swear on something greater than yourself, like the Bible or your mother's heart or something. Well, God had nothing greater to swear on, so He swore on Himself that He would keep this covenant. And this was long before Moses, long before the law. No 10 Commandments, no kosher food, no nothing. It's an absolute promise. All the nations will be blessed. So, in the parable of the prodigal son, Jesus is saying, without saying it directly, that all those nations that I divorced are now part of the family again. God is taking them back. And another parable that Wright talked about was the vineyard. There was a man who owned a vineyard and he rented it out to tenants. And they stopped sending the owner his share of the fruits of the vine, the grapes. Kind of like people who quit obeying God. not necessarily failing to, uh, you know, give offerings, although that was part of it. Well, the owner sent his servants to get his share of the grapes, the crop. The tenants beat them up and tossed them out, kind of like the prophets of the Old Testament. Don't worry about the weird picture, it's just the way the sunlight is shining through the windows. It tore down my curtain again. Um, okay, so they beat up the servants and tossed them out. So the owner sends his son to collect the rent, his share of the crop, and they kill him. Well, that's kind of like God sent his son Yeshua HaMashiach and they killed him. At that point, the Gentiles were mere tenants, and so were the Jews. And there's all kinds of debate about whether the Romans killed Jesus or the Jews killed them, but Jesus told another parable, very brief one. Nobody takes my life. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He wasn't, he laid down his life. If he was God, as the Satan, the tempting spirit, said to him on the cross, if you are the Son of God, come down from the cross. You don't have to do this. Well, yeah, he could have, but what he did was to buy the whole field. So he is that the treasure in the middle or the pearl of great price? Well, I think I've got two parables confused in my head. He paid for all our debts, so he owns us now. Transcript stopped working? I don't know what that means. Um, he paid for us all. He owns us. It isn't just, oh, I paid for your sins, now go and sin no more and all that, like the woman who was about to be stoned. Who accuses you now? Nobody. Well, I don't accuse you either, so go and sin no more. Humph. Well, there are little highlighted words below and above. You can do hide chat and then do show chat. You might have to do it 3 or 4 times. Hide chat down low and then show chat up high, and that should reload it. So, anyway, it isn't just that Jesus paid for our sins and we're all clean now. He owns us. And he had to die, yeah, to do that, to pay the debt. He had to do that to take ownership. But there's one more thing, one more reason why he had to die. In order to conquer death, he went down into hell, Hades, Sheol, and he preached to the spirits there according to tradition, but not the way you think. he probably went down into the depths of Tartarus and told the evil watchers, I won, you're toast. That's also preaching. Oh, yes, Jesus, this Gentile woman came to Jesus asking to be healed, and he said, you aren't a Jew. What makes you think I should heal you? And she says, even a dog may eat the crumbs at the master's table, something like that. And he says, you're right, and heals her. And most of Jesus' ministry was in the north, around the Sea of Galilee, the land of the Samaritans. Oh, yes. Um, Jesus had woman disciples. They weren't among the 12, but when uh, a woman named Mary, and we don't know which one because there were billions of Marys, was a common name. She was sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to him teach. And Martha, who was working in the kitchen, said, hey, why isn't she in the kitchen helping me? She doesn't belong here. And Jesus said, oh, yes, she does. Leave her alone. And Paul, the one who's usually consulted to say women should be silent in church, he had woman disciples, and I'm sorry I don't remember names, but one of them in particular was a preacher, and her husband went with her, but she was the preacher. Came from Greece. Not Phyllis, not Patricia. I can't remember her name. Ruth is an amazing. She's in the genealogy of Jesus, an amazing woman. She was not a Hebrew, not an Israelite, not a Jew. She was a pagan Moabite woman. And I think the deal was if you married a Gentile man or woman, you had to go marrying within Israel for 6 generations. The sixth generation would be clean, but everyone before that would be unclean because of the Gentile blood, the goyim. Or another word for a woman Gentile is shiksa. It basically means witch. Oh gosh. Philippa, maybe. Might be Philippa. Just can't remember, and I don't feel like looking it up. Anyway, the prodigal son is you and me. Anyone, even if you're genetically Jewish, if you have left the faith, if you're what they call a secular Jew, or if you're an atheist, you're welcome to come back. But God won't force you to come back. It's up to you. And I have a problem with very forceful proselytizing because of that. You shouldn't be pressured into it. You should want with all your heart to become, oh, my door is ajar, to become a member of the family again. I still remember the first talking car, the car alarm. The door is ajar. No, it isn't a jar, it's a door. Anyway, the door's ajar. That's why that bright blue spot. I can't get my finger lined up. It's right above the finger. I'm going to have to fix that, but not right now. Anyway, yeah, what Paul meant was don't sit there gossiping while the preacher's talking. Let's see, a post is held for review. I guess they didn't like the word Israel or the word Jew. I don't know. I approved it. Yakov Smirnov, I miss him. The Russian Express card. Don't leave home. If you don't get that, it was American Express. Don't leave home without it. Well, authentic Israel Messiah has to come. Well, they had many messiahs. Every king of Israel was a messiah. But Jesus was the Messiah. And they tried to raise a new Messiah after Jesus died. There was the 70 AD revolt. I don't recall anyone leading it, although I'm sure someone did. I just don't have a name in my head. And then around 150 something, 157, I think, the Bar Kokhba rebellion. He was a Messiah. They failed too. But David was successful. Solomon was successful. Lots of bad things happened. They did lots of bad things, but they were successful rulers and war leaders. But hey, now it isn't just, okay, Israel is God's people and you're not. Now you can choose to become one of God's people. And as Paul pointed out, you don't have to become a Jew first. It was always possible for people to convert and become Israelites. If you were a man, you had to get circumcised. But that's really painful for an adult. Um, so it was like, you have to really want this. The Jews didn't go out, well, the Hebrews and Israelites didn't go out saying, come join us. They just were supposed to be an example, being good, doing good, and showing people what life could be like if they were moral and ethical and worshiped the one true God, the Creator, our Father in heaven. And by the way, if you really read Revelation, John's Revelation, no S on the end, it's one revelation. If you read it carefully, it doesn't say we go to heaven and stay there. At the end of time, heaven comes down to earth in the form of the New Jerusalem, where God comes down to live with us in the kingdom of heaven on earth. I, I love this world for all its faults and failings and disasters and horrible things that people do. It's home. And we don't need to destroy it, we need to heal it. It's sick, it's ill. I think it's raining. And it's still foggy. So, you know what we call that? Froggy weather. It's froggy, fog and rain. Yeah, it must have been painful. They had, they were smart. You know, I can't take the whole Bible literally. If I did, I would have to conclude that the earth is a flat disk sitting on pillars. And my question is, on what are the pillars standing? Huh? There were actually scientific reasons to question whether the earth was moving around the sun in the times of Bruno and not Michelangelo, the other guy, Galileo. Like, why don't we all fall off? Or why don't we experience a huge rushing wind in the direction of the Earth's movement? They didn't have answers for it then. So those who calculated orbits, astronomers, had to say, well, we're just using this as a convenience because the math is so much easier to do if all the planets move in elliptical orbits. So Kepler got away with it by refusing to challenge not so much the church as Aristotle. The first attacks on people like Galileo came from scientists, not the church. Anyway, the ancient Greeks knew that the earth was a globe. Plato called the earth a globe. But then Aristotle came around and said, no, it's flat. And everybody followed Aristotle. I hate Aristotle, and I don't even know him. I do know that Aristotle was a slave. When Alexander's father, Philip, captured Greece, he made Aristotle a slave and had him tutor Alexander. So Aristotle taught Alexander everything he needed to know to go out and conquer the world. As if that were some great achievement to destroy vibrant cultures and subjugate the people and kill the leaders. He did it to Persia, northern India, which would include Pakistan. He kind of got stopped somewhere in India. His troops refused to follow him and insisted on going home. He conquered Egypt and other parts of North Africa. He conquered Italy. Well, the Italians got back at him when Rome conquered Greece. No royal road to geometry. Well, Aristotle was a very good mathematician, but he really wasn't good in other fields like philosophy and geography. The Greeks before him had already not only concluded that the earth was a globe, but also estimated its size. And they came rather close. They just surveyed huge plots of land to measure the curvature that they could see running for miles and miles. They didn't have satellites, but they did have brains. And by the way, even Darwin questioned whether the human brain could be trusted if it evolved from the brain of a monkey. Lunar Sparkles! Hi, Lunar. We're almost an hour in. J.B. Priestley. I don't know if Phil ever read any of that. Probably not. Most of what Phil read was books about philosophers and scientists and the church fathers and so forth. He had the Will Durant series on World Will and Ariel Durant series on history, and I think it was something like 12 volumes. And he had some books specifically about the early church fathers and other books about medieval philosophers and Renaissance philosophers and the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment didn't really let in light, it shut down thinking. It was basically, we have science, so we don't need God. They don't realize that God created their science. He designed the universe. Oh, Anthony Peake. I haven't checked in with Anthony Peake in quite a while. I might look up Priestley. I don't know much about him, and I should. Anyway, God designed the universe in such a way that we can understand it through mathematics. Kepler found the equations that Priscilla and Aquila, thank you, Africanus. I knew it started with P. Priscilla was the preacher, and her husband Aquila was just tagging along. And Paul sent them to preach. He sent a woman to preach. So if you want women to be silent in church, that doesn't mean they can't be preachers. It means they can't be sitting in the back gossiping about what they did over the weekend or how to color their hair or cook a turkey or which detergent to use for your clothes or your dishes or what or your floors. Anyway, where was I? Kepler found the equations that govern the orbits of the planets around the sun, but God designed them that way. Copernicus, see, Galileo was just siding with Copernicus. Copernicus reasoned that the Earth and all the other planets had to go around the sun rather than everything going around the Earth from scientific observation and mathematics. But God made the solar system that way so that Copernicus could find out through reason and observation and mathematics. And I should get back into studying math. I never took calculus and I really should have. I know that differential equations exist, but I'm not really clear on what they are, and apparently they're very important. My older and smarter brother is learning Greek way beyond anything I ever studied. I recognize the words in John's Gospel, but I have trouble pulling them out of my head without looking at the text. En arche, en ho logos, en ho logos, en, uh, en pros theos, kai ha logos, en theos. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But yeah, I have real trouble. Arche originally meant ancient, so an arche is in the beginning. So when you talk about archons, usually with regard to Gnosticism, you're talking about ancient beings. They're deities, but they aren't God. See, atheists will pull this argument. Well, you're an atheist when it comes to Zeus, aren't you? You don't believe in Wotan or Thor, do you? Well, I just go one God farther. I don't believe in Yahweh. Well, I know that the ancient gods were real. They weren't God, but they were powerful beings who oppressed people, took over, did horrible things, and claimed to be gods. Oh, wow. Well, Oswald, you had algebra in seventh grade? They didn't offer that when I was in school. I didn't get algebra till ninth grade, even though I had pre algebra in the fourth grade. Like Oswald, I believe in Wotan, but not Tor. Yeah, well, the problem is Elohim. It isn't God's name. It's the kind of being he is. It's the category to which Yahweh belongs, but he's the top dog, he's the boss, and there's no other Elohim like him. They're all often called sons of God, B'nai Ha Elohim or B'nai Elim. Don't worry, I don't really know Hebrew. I've just heard Michael Heiser say these words often enough that I can repeat them. Oh, your mom had a Copernicus telescope as a girl. You know what I've always wanted to have is one of those. I forgot what the gadget is called. It's got the sun in the middle and the planets on iron bars, little like big colorful marbles or pool balls. And you turn the crank, and the planets go around the sun, and the moon goes around the earth. I've always wanted one of those. I don't know where I'd put it, but I'd like to have one. Yeah, well, the ancient gods of Mesopotamia, Uruk, Chaldea, Babylon, they all claimed that they created human beings because they took these monkeys and added their own DNA and made us better slaves for them. They didn't create us, they damaged us, and they owe us reparations. Oh, Copernicus actually owned that telescope. Wow. Oh, your mom had access to it, didn't actually own it. Wow. I have a cheap toy telescope, but even that can be pointed out into the into space and make things bigger. For some reason, I can't look at the moon. All you need to see the moon in more detail is binoculars, or in my case, a monocular. I'm blind in one eye. Uh, I can't do it. I start to look through the monocular at the moon, and I don't know why, but I get filled with a feeling of dread, and I have to look away. I don't get it. I have no reason for it that I know of. Oh, Lunar, they cut out calculus, home ec. Well, wouldn't have missed home ec. Chemistry. I wanted to take shop. In home ec, well, I got an A in cooking and an F in sewing, so they gave me a D. My school was overcrowded. We had sewing machine for every four girls, and the teacher would not let us use our own machines at home because we might cheat and let our mothers do it for us. So I never got past the shoulder seams of the dress I was sewing. I said, screw it, because I never got a turn on the machine. Your telescope view's upside down? Yeah, it's missing a lens. It needs one more lens to turn the picture over. Oh, wow. Ah, that's interesting, Wax. See, it's been over an hour now. We've gone through the parables. We've gone through, well, for those of you who weren't here, Verizon recalled my jetpack that I use to access the internet, my little mobile wireless hotspot thingy. They never told me about it. I found out by accident when I was searching tech websites to figure out why the battery blew up. Well, that's part of the recall. These things have been causing fires. Of course, I'm not stupid enough to put it on an upholstered a piece of upholstered furniture or a stack of papers, but because I knew it was running hot, but it did get very hot and I'd have to unplug it and let it rest from time to time. Verizon's quick fix was to upload software that prevents the device from charging the battery. Meanwhile, I had ordered a new battery on Amazon because I thought it was a defective battery. And the one that blew up is too big to put it back in. It actually popped the jetpack open and fell out, and it's puffed up so big it won't go back in. So anyway, I went to the various. I couldn't. They probably sent the message to the jetpack website and not to my email. Well, because of the recall, I could not open the website that would have had their message about the recall. Anyway, finally got that taken care of. My device is recalled. It is a fire hazard. By the way, I'm using my phone for the internet right now. It's better anyway. Okay, so I'd go through all the malarkey and it says, we'll send you this box and you send us your jetpack. And when we receive it, we'll send you the replacement. Well, what do I do while I'm waiting for the replacement? No internet for at least 2 days and possibly a whole week? I'm sure that they'll run out of um, replacements for the jetpack and just not be able to send me one. Okay, my phone is dinging. What does that mean? What do you want? Oh, Waxy sent me a message. Something about Poland tourism. Well, I'll worry about that later because I don't want to use up bandwidth that I need for um, running this here show. I think I'd give up Wi-Fi before sunlight, Oswald. For one thing, I love my garden. Oh, it's a link about the Copernicus telescope. Hi, Vican. Okay, I have to recycle some coffee, but I promise I'll be back. Tora just doesn't want to say hi to her adoring fans today, so I guess you don't get to see the kitty cat. But I'll be back, so hang in there. Dum de dum, dum de dum de dum. While I'm at it, my pack of cigarettes is empty. I need another one. Let me see. Not there. Not here. Must be there. Yeah, I knew I had one. Okay. All right. They pack the tobacco into the tube so loosely that you have to tamp the pack seriously to avoid having little burning embers fall off the end of your cigarette. And by the way, those glowing sparks from a fire are not glowing ambers. Amber is my granddaughter. They are embers with an E. I'm really tired of people just deciding that every vowel in the universe sounds like something other than what it is. Oh, Waxy hasn't had his coffee yet. I've had 2 cups now. I am not going for a third because I'm cutting down. Uh, and it's still morning, so I don't want to do 6 cups a day. I was going to go out in the back 40. That's 40 feet, not acres. I was going to go out there and bag up some trash today, but it's chilly and foggy and I don't feel like it. And my hurt leg hurts. I've overdone it a few times. Shouldn't do that. I tried getting down on my knees to pull weeds. Well, it's mostly my knees, but also the healing hip fracture. They didn't like that much, even though it was only 5 minutes or so. Oh boy, and it's been a couple days. Waxy's eyelids. Yeah, well, Waxy doesn't keep a normal schedule, and I congratulate him because normal is boring. Oh, that's right. You are, let's see, 11, 12. It's about 1:23 where Waxy is. It's 10:23 here. Two monsters and a coffee into your day. Monsters? I don't know what those are, Howard. Sumatra blend. Oh, yeah, Sumatra's good. I like, what's it called? Something blue. I think it's Sumatra blue. Disclosure, folks. Ah. Oh, now supposedly Prince Philip's death is white privilege. You mean only white people get to die? He's the, let's see, I always thought he was Spanish. I think he probably is genetically, but he was born in Greece. He's Greek and Danish, they say on Google. Wow, Jan is in Tasmania. Wow. Well, anyway, um, disclosure. Oh, wow, they got the New York Times to write about a UFO. This was not the first time. UFOs have hit the major magazines many times, at least as early as the 1950s, when I was just a gleam in my mother's eye, or my dad's, or both. The government can't disclose what the government doesn't know. Oh, I can't. Thankful the Lord. Well, actually, I can't remember the Taz cartoon theme, but I do love the Tasmanian Devil cartoons. Let's see. What was I talking about? Oh, disclosure. The government. There is no the government. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of bureaucrats sitting at their desks, shuffling their papers, and each one has a little bit of info which he or she keeps secret, not because it's important or scary or going to make them rich, but because just having a secret gives you power in the bureaucracy. Aha, I have a secret and you don't. Not one of them knows the full picture. Nobody does. Oh, and then there's the military. Same problem. There really is, when it comes to this, there really is no the military. Let's see, we've got Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and now the Star, not Starfleet, not Star Corps, the Star something, Star Force. And interestingly, when President Trump announced it, he said, another Star Force, as if we already had one. Okay, my water's empty. I'll be right back. Ah, ah, dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Maybe the Dragnet theme will get the Taz cartoon out of your ears, Waxy. Yes, Howard and Waxy, thank you. Space Force. Um, well, Jan, the fact is, most people never look up. My brother and I saw some UFOs because he got a telescope for his birthday and we were looking at the planets and stars through the telescope. So we were already looking up when this glowing orange red globe started coming toward us. I love the Dragnet theme. It's simple, but there's something about it. I really like it. Dum de dum, dum de dum de dum. Yeah, well, Clyde Lewis. I like Clyde, but I haven't listened to him in a while. Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. Yeah. Well, last week I lost the internet connection while I was talking about the New World Order and all that crap. So I kind of think maybe that's why I lost the connection. Yes, what did the loudspeakers say? Something about rat race. That's Clyde Lewis's thing, his intro. Hi, Richard. I'm almost done here for today. I just guess I shouldn't talk about the wealthy and powerful elite who really run the world or think they do or want to. Yes, Howard, give up is also part of Clyde's intro. I love his intro. And by the way, I've been on his show twice now. Well, it's my job to promote my work, and if you promote my work, I'm grateful. But nobody's under any obligation to do my work for me. Yeah, there's a lot of commercials now on Ground Zero, but hey, that's why you don't have to buy a subscription to listen to him. It's a trade off, I know. I love his coffee ads. Fade to black coffee. I don't think I want my coffee that strong, but I love the ads for it. Well, Clyde is still on some radio stations. Of course, you have to be there, but I just open up YouTube to listen to Clyde Lewis, and I putter around the house doing stuff. On YouTube, he doesn't join the chat, but you can chat with other listeners, which is nice. Hmm, wow. But I also like Jimmy Church. He, he's cut ties with Coast to Coast AM. Oh, it's Jimmy's Dark Room. That's right. That's not Clyde Lewis. That's Jimmy's Fade to Black. I'm mixing my metaphors and radio hosts. I meant Jimmy Church. I was on a Saturday night coast to coast with Jimmy Church. I wouldn't have done it with any other host. Not even uh what's his name? The guy with the TV station in Nevada, in Las Vegas. I've gone totally blank on him. But I went on with Jimmy Church, and I hope to be on his own show if I ever finish writing my book. I love his voice. Jimmy Church has a voice that makes women swoon. He really does. Well, Jan Miller, you're on Facebook. I haven't paid much attention to Facebook friend requests lately. Most of them are people who are local, and I don't want locals knowing too much about me. I have a group on Facebook for Crestline people, but I don't want except people who are truly connected to me in some way and don't just live in the same town. Well, Jimmy Church, when he's on the air, of course, the mixer makes him sound even better. But he's got a nice voice. Oh, Cardinal Sin on the fridge, into the fringe. Are you the guy who messaged me on Facebook? My internet wasn't working when I had the time to check out the link, so I haven't actually listened yet. If that's you on Facebook messages. Okay, I'll take a chance and see. When did you send the request, Jan? Just now? Okay, I promise I will listen to it. Stinking Verizon just knows when to cut my service. It's either Verizon or YouTube that cuts off my show. Well, I'm not seeing your friend request just yet. Jan, come on. Um, I guess Facebook is not going to load it just yet. All I'm seeing is Roy Hill, and he's a local I don't particularly want to connect with because, my page contains a lot of woo woo stuff. And I know I'm crazy, but I don't want them to know it. Let's see, I'll go to Facebook again. And if your friend request doesn't show up, I'll search your name. How about that? Yeah, it still isn't showing up. What am I doing? Come on. Let's see. Jan Miller of Pit Pass. Jan Miller, A Celebration of Life. Jan Miller, trance DJ and producer. Which one are you? I'm guessing it's DJ and producer from Germany, but I don't know. Kiwi bird. I'm not seeing it. Maybe that's it. Tafe? I think that might be a Kiwi. It's hard to tell. New Zealand. Oh, now it says you sent me a friend request. Okay. I got it, and we're friends now. So, I've heard of Into the Fringe. I might even have listened to it or from time to time. You see, I'm not hard to find, and I'm usually willing to be a guest because if we get into a few minutes and I don't like it, I can always hang up. But I don't generally go out seeking interviews. Well, to me, kiwi is the icon on the box of shoe polish and on the can of shoe polish. Kiwi was a Manx cat, very short tail. She decided to go live with the neighbors. They had better food. Yeah, I know. Oh, Cardinal Sin, you talked with others or you talked with me? I'm almost certainly going to go on with you, Cardinal Sin. I just have. I don't think I've met Jeff Kripal. I just have a crazy schedule as Gil. Okay, I know someone named Gil. I'm not good with names. I can't always put them with faces, but you must have been on that show where three different guys are all hosting and one sitting at his table with his dog walking around the kitchen. Ay, ay, ay. I don't remember. No, Mom didn't give Kiwi away, Africanus. Kiwi moved down the street. What she did was she was going to take Pinky to the pound. She didn't couldn't keep, and that was Georgia's cat of all things. So Phil and I rushed over and spirited Pinky away and kept him. Mom might have told the people that they could keep Kiwi, but she didn't tell me that. I just knew that um, Kiwi liked them better and wouldn't come home. Oh, okay. Masters of the genre. Okay, whatever, Cardinal Sid. Ah, I'm trying to write this here book, about the exegesis of Philip K. Dick. I had no idea when I began writing it that it would be so much work and so much reading, more reading than writing. And then I have another project, a story that I already got paid for and I haven't finished it. So I have to get that off the table and out on the email or whatever. Uh, so maybe they took Kiwi inside their house, the neighbors down the street. That would be just like Mom. Drop something casually in conversation years later. Something she'd kept secret all those years that just to dig in and make you feel even worse than you already do. But anything I said was a lie. Like when I tried to confess how I really broke my front tooth, eating hard candies that she told me not to eat. Oh no, you were just walking across the courtyard at the lunchtime at the school and it just broke all by itself. Excuse me? Mom was not there when I broke my tooth. I was there. She'd even argue with me about the names of my dead cats. She waited till I wasn't at home to take Peter to the pound because she wouldn't pay for a vet to give him some antibiotic to the pound, the animal shelter. Starseed transmissions. Okay, I honestly that that sounds familiar, Cardinal Sin, but I just have too many things clogging up my brain right now. Exegesis? Well, all Phil had, all he left was notes, handwritten notes and typed up letters to people. And the published version of the exegesis is mostly letters that he wrote to people. But there's a website called Zebrapedia that has scanned images of his handwritten notes. Unfortunately, many of the words are cut off because he wrote all the way to the edge of the paper and the scanner didn't pick up the edges. Howard knocked out something with a wrench working on a mower. Okay, I don't know what he knocked out. I hope it wasn't your cat. Oh, come on. Hard to talk and type. Oh, front tooth. What live stream? Oh, tweet out this show? I'm ready to hang up. I've been going almost an hour and 40, but I have 12 listeners and 7 thumbs upses. Well, I'm on Twitter, but I ignore it. Once in a while, I tweet out a link to this show, but not every week. Mostly, I use it to get the reports from the sheriffs and fire departments so I know what's going on when I hear sirens or smell smoke. Thank you, Cardinal Sin. Wow. So Verizon sucks. They sold me a defective jetpack for accessing the internet, and they won't send me the replacement until they receive the old one, which leaves me without internet for a couple days. That was very generous of them. It's just been setting things on fire, nothing major. Oh, you liked the tour of my great outdoors, huh? I skipped as much of the uh, junky trash as I possibly could. When the weather settles down, probably in May, I'll be going through my storage because I'm sure there's more things I can toss out, sell, or donate. Well, to use Twitter, you just go to Twitter, type something, 140 characters or less, hit your enter key or click the little arrow thingy, and then you duck because somebody might not like what you said. There's a German dairy food called quark. Okay. On the mountain here, the only phones that are something like reliable are Verizon. So I got a package that includes internet so that I can use my phone to access the internet. And overall, it's actually working out cheaper. The only viable alternative would be Spectrum, which is a cable company. They'd run a cable into my house and give me a modem to use. And I would pay as much for that as I'm currently paying for internet and phone. And I wouldn't have a phone. I don't know how I'm going to keep paying this bill, but I've had a lot of help from people. Um, a nice member sent me PayPal. Um, I told you I'm terrible at names. I got PayPal. I think it was $20 by PayPal just for being, I guess, YouTube friend. And Howard bought one of my books. And as it turned out, I was able to send him two books because his wife signed the check. So I signed one of the books to her. I hope the address on the check was the correct mailing address. Well, PayPal links are just your email. And mine is kittiescat777 at gmail.com for PayPal. You can also email me there. Oh, thank you, Howard. I got the address right. Well, my cats could write stories about adventures in the backyard. Anyway, I just got paid for a story that I have to finish writing, so I'm not stretched at all this month. But it is early on. I managed to pay for my homeowner's insurance, and those property taxes don't come due till December. I don't get it. This county is insane. The first half of your property taxes are due right before Christmas. The second half is due April, right before you send in your income tax forms. And many of us have to send money with those forms. Well, thank you, Jan. And Cardinal Sin. Now get this. If I save up enough to pay the property taxes, Medi-Cal cuts me off and I have to pay it all to the doctors. I'm on Medicare with a Medi-Cal supplement. Fortunately, we're not a city, Howard. We're not incorporated, but the county charges us extra, higher property taxes. PayPal doesn't like kitties, cats? Are you sure? Let me check. Come on, open, open, open. This ain't Mervin's. We just Kitty's cat 777. I, all right. Well, let me see. Oh, I know. I've got a better link. Let me let me delete that one. Remove and message retracted. I'll get you a better link. Come on, open, open, open. Oh, open. It's called PayPal Me. Try this one. Okay. That one should work. Yeah, I'm going to have to find a bank to set up an impound account for taxes. So let me know if the link above works. I don't know what's up with PayPal. Um, looking for something. Oh, here we go. Let me just look. No, I can't look again. I have to log in or you have to log in? I'm on PayPal now, making sure this account works. Well, you can't send PayPal unless you have a PayPal account. See, I have to write down little hints because I don't have a password manager. Because then all a hacker would have to do is figure out the password to my password manager. And they could get into everything. So I don't think that's a good solution to forgetting my passwords. That's the other thing about Verizon, by the way. Um, I'm not getting my text messages. I can't add a phone number to certain accounts to have two-factor authentication because I never get the text message with the code. So I imagine I would never get the text message if they wanted me to use the two-factor identification. I am typing and talking at the same time, and I'm not good at it. I'm just checking. Yeah, the kitty's cat's account works. I don't want the PayPal app. I don't want my phone to have access to my money. And my stupid Samsung phone won't read fingerprints or facial recognition. Oh, Gil sent me $23.97. All right. Thank you. And let's log out of that. Come on. Now, after I log out of PayPal, I always clear the history in my browser just in case. Besides, when the history gets filled up, the internet slows down. Oh, a real estate broker, eh? See, I don't trust my mortgage company. They keep telling me I didn't make a payment and I have to send them proof of yes, I did. They're really stupid. And I think they want my house because it's worth so much more than I paid for it. You heard a beep on my phone. Okay. I have only one phone number, and even when a gal who just lives around the corner sends me a text message, I get it 3 days later. Your bank was protecting you from fraud by closing out your account? Oh, by not letting you access your own money. Yeah, that figures. PayPal has nipped me out. So I got one of those PayPal debit cards um, that I can use almost anywhere. It is not a credit card. My cigarette burned up in the ashtray. I didn't smoke it. I forgot. Oh man, I hate when banks do stuff like that. When my purse was stolen, my credit union figured it out right away and froze the account, but let me in when I showed up. I showed up at a different branch. I was nowhere near home because I traveled on a train, a Metrolink train to Fontana. But the branch where they'd never seen me before, they worked it out with uh, my info that I knew and so forth because they stole my ID too. Anyway, the bank, I went to the bank where I get the Social Security to keep it separate from other sources of income. I said I need to report fraud. I need to file a fraud report. They didn't even know what that was. And I had to explain in detail my purse was stolen. Someone's been using my cards. Apparently, that's another problem. You can use when your debit card has the MasterCard logo or the Visa logo, they can use it without knowing your PIN number. They just run it as a credit card. Oh my God, poor Laura Sparkle, Lunar Sparkles. I don't know why I said Laura. I always have a little bit of cash on me, not much. Like when my purse was stolen, I had $5 and a handful of coins. Because you never know. The vending machine might not like your card. You might want some chips or a soda. Oh, yeah. If I'm going to stay on the line, I'm going to get my ginger ale. I had a bad day yesterday. I had eaten something I shouldn't have. It must have been a little too old, and it eventually escaped. And by the time I felt better, it was bedtime. I got the first shot, the Pfizer shot, and had a terrible allergic reaction to one of the other ingredients, an antibiotic that I'm allergic to. They didn't tell me it was in there, so I never got the second shot. Oh, well, if you have troubles like that with your bank Africanus, might or might not do any good to complain to the right government agency. I think in the case of bank fraud, it might be the California, um, oh heck, I don't know. You look up your bank's name with regulator, regulatory agency or something like that, and you'll find out who regulates them. Well, when I first got the shot, it just kind of itched where I at the injection site. The next day it was my whole arm, elbow to shoulder, and eventually it was both arms, my shoulders, the back of my neck, and it was painful, itching and burning. I was miserable. I was slathering on the Lanacaine and taking Benadryl, and it still hurt. And uh, then I got a red rash, and I was about to go see a doctor when it finally started to subside, but it lasted a week. I can't take the Pfizer again. I'm allergic to the antibiotic that they put in it. Seriously allergic. If I'd known it was in there, I never would have taken that shot. I'd have waited for one of the others. Grab my ginger ale. Now, this is not just because I'm old. Even when I was young, I had to get the pliers to open a plastic bottle of soda. It works even better than a towel or one of those thingies to help you open lids. Pliers are excellent tools. That's why I keep pliers in my kitchen. And that while I was out with a broken hip, they put my box of tools and hardware, and that box of tools and hardware didn't exist when I left. It was on the hearth under some other boxes when I came back. It also contained my guitar strings and pegs. Let me put this away. You see, I am a bit of a pack rat, but I don't have piles of garbage or stacks of newspapers. I have stuff, and I had just finished sorting. Weeks and weeks of sorting. Things to sell, things to donate, things to toss out, things to sort later. and things that I use all the time, so I need them out in plain sight where I can find them. I even have a little box for all those things I can never find. They go into that box and then I can find them. The box was emptied out, the stuff scattered here, there, and everywhere, and the box was in the trash. What's up with that? I know people wanted to be helpful, but you don't unpack my boxes and put the stuff out and then take the stuff I have out and put it in boxes. That's makes that isn't you helping me. That's you helping yourself to my things. Actually, it has real ginger now. That was one thing. It does have high fructose corn syrup and ginger extract. Now, people sued them because ginger extract isn't real ginger. Well, what do you think it's made from? It's made from ginger. Grate a little bit of that and pour the ginger ale over it. It really does have ginger. What ticked me off was I bought a bottle of artisan, small producer ginger beer because I had some that was imported from England and too expensive for my budget, and it was really strong, so I'd mix it with the Canada Dry ginger ale because I got more flavor, but not, oh my God, drop dead flavor. So I bought ginger beer from this local artisanal brewer. Tasted like bread mold. And then I read the ingredients, which I should have done beer. Now, ginger beer can have alcohol, but of course, this did not. I like the non alcoholic ginger beer. Now, I can't speak for other brands of ginger ale because I haven't checked, but Canada Dry really does have real ginger extract in it. Just not enough for my. And the powdered ginger that you buy in a jar just doesn't work too well. It's better to take a ginger root and grate a little bit of it. Yeah, I've watched Glenn and Friends cooking on YouTube, and he made ginger beer. It just seemed like, oh my God, I can't do that. It's even more complicated and more work and more waiting than the homemade jam that I make. I did make a batch of triple berry jam the other day. I got the frozen fruit off the Schwann's truck. It's blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries all together, and I made a batch of jam from that. We're in a band called 1111. Africanus is wishing for jam, I guess. Well, I had some visitors last night, given it all away, and I don't make it as often as I used to. For one thing, I can't. Standing at the stove and stirring is even harder with two wrecked knees instead of just one, plus a broken hip. I will be making orange marmalade because someone gave me a big bag of oranges and there's only one of me. But that's a lot more work. I have to zest the oranges because I don't put the white pith on the underside of the peel into my marmalade. Here and there, a little bit of the bitterness, but it's mostly the orange zest. Oh, you evil computer. My connection is unstable. It's mostly orange zest and the actual orange fruit. Near as I can tell, the stuff you buy in the store just has the peel and no oranges in it. V? Hi, V. Um, oh my computer's being mean to me. I brushed the mouse pad. V, you came late to the party. I've been going over 2 hours, and I'm not even talking about Trump, Biden, the New World Order, or any of that. And either Verizon or YouTube is trying to cut me off, throttling my service. Well, yeah, oranges have lots of vitamins. I never liked the store bought marmalade. It's too bitter. But what I make is more like an orange jam, and it's sort of a marmalade. People are dropping off. Had 12 listeners, and now I have 7. So anyway, what instrument do I play? Well, I plunk on the piano. Used to be able to do the first movement of Moonlight Sonata and the first movement of Furelise. I tried Mozart and Chopin pieces, and oh no, no, no. They were designed to torture the piano player. I can't do it. Chopin in particular. One hand is on 4/4 time and the other hand is on 5/4 time. I can't do that. I can't count two time signatures at once. I played violin in the school orchestra until I switched to cello because cello was easier. And I know a few guitar chords, but when I was a kid, everybody learned a few chords. I have a that electronic thing called a keyboard. It will play like a piano, but I haven't set it up in several years. I'm short on space. Well, I guess my show will go long today, even though I've noticed that shorter programs get more views. I have this habit too. Oh, it's under 10 minutes? Okay, I'll watch it. I'll do the hour-long show afterward or later. Oh man, arthritis sucks, Cardinal Sin. I have it. I was trying to learn clarinet. That was the one instrument I always wanted, and I finally got one at a secondhand shop, a music store, but it was secondhand. Most of their instruments were. But man, I was up to where I could play the beginner pieces in the book for learning clarinet, but it's been so long that my lips aren't strong enough to play it anymore. Now everybody plays the computer. They just tell the computer to play these notes instead of actually doing it themselves, which is one reason why I like Procol Harum so much. That guy really plays piano and organ. So does the other guy. I can't remember his name, the white-haired guy who sings Nights in White. No, not Nights in White Satin. What am I doing? Um, Nights in White Satin isn't even a. Ow! I play Whiter Shade of Pale. I always thought it was about. It isn't. Yeah, well, it's okay to write your music on a computer, but you should play it yourself and not tell the computer. Uh, maybe for yourself to make sure it sounds the way you like, but why not just plunk on the piano? Yeah, I'm getting lag. Anyway, I like Beethoven because I can usually play his songs. My major problem is I can barely reach an octave by going vertical with my hands. So in certain songs, I can cheat by doing the chord and then moving over to do the higher notes play because I can't reach unless I. Anyway, this uh, my connection is unstable and it has been over 2 hours. So lunar. That's why I just don't play those songs. Although I did play the one, oh, don't remember this song, but I just loved it so much that I would start the chord and move my hand over to the other notes one at a time. It worked. Yeah, my friend Shari switched to the bass viol, which is even easier than cello. The only bad thing about the cello is that I couldn't carry, so uh, I never took it home again. I just practiced during my lunch hour at the school. I can still do a D major scale on a violin, but I don't have a violin right now, so catch you next week. If maybe maybe I'll record something in the meantime. I finally figured out how to do it. If I do it through YouTube, they give me about 10 seconds, but if I do it on my camera, I can make it as long as I want. The thing is that gardening video took, I had to leave it loading overnight. It took 12 hours to upload to YouTube. And it wasn't available all. It's amazing to have you here. Okay. Bye.